Hey everyone, Chris here from Seaflow. Got another episode of the continuous flow roll. This time we've got Jem Havok, who is a brown belt under Frank Barker and is one of the head coaches at 10th Planet Hobart. So welcome, Jem. Nice to have you on, bro.
Thanks for having me, man. This is super cool. So yeah.
No worries. I saw there was a tournament recently in Tasmania, and your team, well, the 10th Planet team in general, did really, really well in there. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to reach out and maybe we could have a chat about that and some other things. We met, I think it was 7 years ago. I think I came down for when you guys officially became a 10th Planet school with Frank Barker. That was a really cool experience for myself. And you and Nat were super hospitable, and it was a beautiful place. So yeah, it was a bunch of really good reasons to have a chat, and it's good to have you on. And again, good to chat again.
Yeah, it was 2017. So yeah, it was 7 years ago. Just over 7.
It's crazy. Time flies, man. Time flies.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
So how does 10th Planet Hobart look now, 7 years after the fact? If you could look back in a little time capsule and be like, could you believe where you're at 7 years now and the things that you've done, hosted tournaments, had competition winners?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's insane. Because I started it as a white belt in 2009, and we were called Hobart No Gi Grappling, and it was that you came up. That's when we got the official affiliation through Eddie. Yeah. So, I mean, if I look back just simply from 2017 when we affiliated, it's been such a big change. We ended up going to ADCC trials in Japan. So my wife, Nat, she's a black belt under Frank and Eddie. She ended up going to ADCC trials, getting silver. She lost to Kako Yuasa. But that was like some 8-minute match. It was nuts. I mean, that in itself was huge.
Nat's just preface this. Nat is a fucking beast. She's not just any black belt. She's very fucking good, and she brings a lot of both technical and physical qualities to her grappling. So I wasn't surprised when she went the distance with her, but there's no shame in losing to someone like that. It's an amazing effort to come from little old Tasmania and then come second in ADCC trials, man. That's wild.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but to date, it's still the closest anyone from Tassie's come.
I believe that.
With going to ADCC, I think there's been a few that have tried. But yeah. So I mean, that was only shortly after we affiliated, and that was a big rocket, just propelling us. Oh, okay, we're in the mix. We can do this, and it was just kind of the confidence, the belief in us and our team that we could do it. So yeah, and then she ended up going Oz sub only. She became 2-time Oz sub only champion.
Wow.
And that was so she's got the 2 Oz sub only belts. Was it 2018, 2019? And then of course COVID hit, and I don't think that went on anymore. Yeah. And then was just having a really high level athlete in our room that could do really well. And then that spreads. So then we start getting everyone else, they're training with someone really good and they start getting really good. So, I mean, it's a good thing that we've got a good athlete, but then to have the rest of the team start coming up and doing well, and like you were saying, constantly winning the Taz state titles, it's something I'm super proud of.
That was gi and no gi, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's,
and obviously you're a no-gi team.
We only do no-gi. We had one of our guys, John. He put the he put the gi on, and I remember the first time. He's only competed twice in the gi, and I think maybe they're the only times he's ever worn a gi. And we had to bring
This
up
guy's a gangster,
YouTube
bro.
to teach him how to tie the belt. But yeah, he actually did really well in the gi. He submitted both of his opponents, but in the purple belt division,
Wow.
and um, and I think he was like 15 points up at the time too. Not a point scored against him, which is just unreal. So
That's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, we're really happy, like for us to do that because we basically halve our potential of points, right?
100%.
You know, gi.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it was gonna,
And win the
you know,
team's cup,
it's
right? You won the
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I was
So yeah, it's
pumped with
amazing.
it.
Because like I said, most gyms would have people competing in the gi, people competing in no gi, and obviously you can get twice the amount of points that you can get only being a no gi side. So that's
Yeah,
super impressive. And I saw the guys from Adelaide come down as well.
yeah, yeah. Daniel
So yeah, I
McNally
saw.
come down with a few of them.
Yeah,
That was
they got.
fun.
That's a good team, bro. They got some sharp dudes there. Jesse, James, Ashgar
James
coming up.
Watson. Oh, Ashgar's amazing to watch. So Jesse didn't compete. He came down to coach, but Jesse's
Okay.
always fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
And like the way they coach is unreal. The way Daniel has everything set up,
Yeah.
it's impressive.
No,
Really
I've
impressive.
had I've had a couple of chats with Daniel at tournaments and stuff like that, and Jesse. Good people, bro. Good people.
Mm.
Um, very similar to what you guys kind of did in Tassie, I would imagine. Ballsy maneuver to open a gym on your own type of thing, and
Yeah,
have to just fucking navigate your way through that shit.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
credit to Daniel and yourselves. So, but yeah, it sounds like 10th Planet as a team did really, really well at that tournament. And
yeah,
I was talking to um, Stephen Booth a couple of days ago. Not sure if you're familiar, but he's a brown belt 10th Planet underneath Boogie. He lives in New Zealand. And we
yeah,
were talking about how at the ADCC trials and all these big tournaments, you'll regularly see like a 10th Planet team at the top.
mm.
And then you'll see like New Wave and then B Team and stuff like that. But you'll see Freaks or you'll see 10th Planet like Austin down there or something like that. You'll see these teams, right? And it's generally a lot of the time a 10th Planet team that's at the top of the team's rankings, which is super interesting.
yeah, yeah. It
Seems like they've gone hard into the ADCC rule set and getting after it.
yeah,
People like BJ
like
Barch and stuff like that.
yeah, like I know Eddie. Eddie really just he says get out there and compete.
Yeah.
So he'll often say he wants teams at like IBJJF Worlds.
Yeah.
Or ADCC. He's just like just get out there, compete. Like rule sets are rule sets. But just Eddie's big on seeing if we can build competitors, but also being able to teach newbies as well. It's hard to cover all those areas, but yeah, I think we've got a system to do it.
There'd be lots of places where if you're new or just getting into it, it's not going to be the gym for you just because the level is so high and the base level of understanding is up here. So if you're a white belt, someone just dipping your toe in getting started, it's going to be really hard to get started at a place like New Wave or at B Team or something like that because the normal standard is just kind of through the roof. So that ability to be able to teach an athlete, a hobbyist, and anyone in between and have a system that works for everyone is super important.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing to do. I know recently I've started doing, not so much recently, we've always done live drills, but we've seen that big prevalence in like gameplay and keeping things really simple. Like, getting brand new white belts coming in. The way I look at techniques is like, because I come from before I ended up quitting my job and becoming a full-time coach. I worked in kitchens and I was a baker and always working from recipes. So the way I look at techniques is like it's like a recipe. It gives you the steps, but it's learning to take those steps and kind of create things yourself. Like you'll see really good chefs. You can just throw ingredients at a chef and not tell them what to do with it, and they'll make something really good out of it. That's kind of how I look at jiu-jitsu. So when I'm teaching like white belts, you give them a recipe, you give them guidelines, but then tell them very, very basic things to do, like guard passing, get past the feet, get past the knees,
Well,
chest to chest, don't let knees come back in. Like, just give them real simple things.
if you chuck a brand new person in, say, the knee shield, for example, in the passing role, there's only X amount of ways they can move their body. Like, you're going to slowly work out, okay, you can only pass to that side, you can't go up, down, all this type of stuff. Whereas if you started two new people or one new person standing, the possibilities are infinite of what could happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, it's very possible for people to work their own way out through mini games and conceptualized learning and stuff like that. And I think the days of like very strict regimented, I need 50 reps of this armbar before we move on, it's kind of dying off a little bit. I think people are drilling until they understand the technique and the context, and then it's about applying it in live scenarios as soon as possible.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And like, you do need those static drills because you want to know that you know where things are going, but you're not going to spend forever on it.
Oh, yeah, they have their place.
Oh, everything changes so quickly that when you try to apply it, now you're going to have to work on your balance and like pressure application and everything like that. So
yeah, so
it's a very fun thing. Like,
so you briefly touched on being a baker before jiu-jitsu. What got you into jiu-jitsu in the first place, and when did you start? Like, and what was kind of the genesis of that all happening? And how do you find yourself with a 10th Planet affiliation in Tasmania?
Okay, well, I started 2009.
Yep.
My first whole thing was I started training at a traditional Korean school, doing a lot of like stand-up sparring, like more striking.
Yep.
And they had a little bit of groundwork, but I really wanted to develop that a little bit more. I really gravitated towards like the ground game. We had a local bookstore. At that time, like, not a lot of stuff on YouTube and all that. It was, you went and got books or DVDs or something like that.
Yeah.
And they actually had Eddie's Mastering the Rubber Guard in there.
What?
And that was my first. That was 2009. So I think that's like 2 or 3 years after we brought the book out. And I've kind of heard of Eddie Bravo before because we had like fighters like George Soteropoulos, Dan Hardy, I think, was also.
I think he had some 10th Planet stuff going on, bro.
Yes, yeah. Because I think at the time, my coach Frank Barker, was it the day that Frank got his blue belt? Was the day that Dan Hardy got his purple? I think they got graded together. Yeah. So, and I was a big Dan Hardy fan, watching UFC back then. So, and then so I'm going through this book, and I've got extreme flexibility in my legs, like legs going backwards and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this stuff's really cool. So
this is me.
yeah. And as like a super excited white belt, like I'm just going,
man, that's awesome.
Like a lot of us did back then. And so that was like April 2009. The reason I initially started was because I was a skateboarder. I was skateboarding so much, injured myself really badly. My knees are shot. I was in bad shape and not doing really anything to help myself. So, being a young kid, it was just you just run your body into the ground.
Oh yeah, so, bro. Especially like 90s kids. Like,
yeah,
you fucking rub dirt into wounds and shit. Like, a completely different time. Like, yeah.
It was so, like thinking back now, it's like, hindsight's great. Like, as you get older, like, oh my god, what was I doing? What was I doing? So I took up martial arts and specifically went down the jiu-jitsu route, and it changed everything for me. So here I am in Tassie trying to learn all these 10 Planet moves out of a book. Not really doing a good job of it at all.
That'll be hard.
Like, I had my lockdown backwards. Like, everything was all over the shot. So and I I can't remember the magazine. It might have been like Australian MMA or something like that. And it actually had George Soteropoulos on the cover, and I opened it up. And around the middle of it, there's this spread on Frank Barker. And I was like, oh my God, there's a 10th planet in Australia. And up straight away. And I think at the time, I could be getting my timeline mixed up. He was a blue belt just about to go to LA. And I hit him up, gets his purple belt. And that's when I went over a couple of months later and started training with him. And yeah, he saw the 10 planet stuff I was trying to work on. He's like, oh my God, dude, what are you doing? Everything's backwards. So he was instrumental in, like, you know, building my game.
So for those of the people listening,
you know,
Jem actually, Tasmania, for people in America who have no idea about Australian geography, Tasmania is a tiny little island south of the mainland. So Jem didn't just drive 20 minutes to the fucking 10th planet. I'm assuming you got on the plane and you flew to Melbourne as a white belt to seek this out. Is that's right? That's
I don't
awesome.
even know how many kilometers is it? It's like,
it's a lot. Too many, bro. Too many to.
Well, it's an hour flight.
You're separated by ocean, bro. Like, yeah. So for context for people, you didn't just get up and go half an hour down the road to the 10th planet, bro. You got on a fucking plane. Flew across the ocean to seek it out. So credit to you, bro. Because
thanks, man.
That's a big part of it. A lot of people would have just been like, "Yeah, it's a 10th planet school," but
it's and at the time it was the only one, right?
Yeah.
So it was the only, I think, man, back in those days was the only one in the southern hemisphere. I could be wrong.
Just the faith, bro.
I know Frank was the first, so I know.
The belief in the system. I
appreciate that.
Like, it's wild, bro. It's awesome.
Or I was crazy. One of the two.
But think about it like this, man. If that doesn't happen,
if
you don't do that, that's a big part of 10th Planet Hobart being around.
Yeah.
You know?
It absolutely is. I mean, look, back in those days, I was working full time. So I had like my holidays, all that stuff. Didn't really, I didn't spend money. Like, I was a straight edge hardcore kid from my punk rock roots. So there was no drinking, no smoking, like nothing like that. So I didn't have all these vices or anything like that, you know. So that's when my money was like getting a flight, go to Frank. And there was a period there where I was going probably 8 to 9 times a year. Whether that was just for a weekend, like I'd hit his Friday night and his Saturday morning, or whether I'd go over there, get a hotel and stay for the week, and I'd be walking to training. I'd do like 2 or 3 days. I think I'd do his day session, I'd do his fundamentals, and I'd do his advance at night. And I was just keen to soak up knowledge. I was very, very enthusiastic. And I just kept going, kept working on it. I met Eddie when he come down. He was super cool. So I've met Eddie, I think it's 4 or 5 times now. Got to roll with him, build that relationship online as well. So a lot of the time when I was like talking to Eddie, it'd be about music and stuff like that. So it's really cool. Like, more of a personal connection than just jiu-jitsu. But between Frank and Eddie, and I would say Josh Pekistang as well. So Josh Pekistang's 10th Planet South Melbourne. Like those guys, they put so much work into me. Like they helped me out probably more than they'd ever know. I know I spend more time with Frank, but there's a lot of people that like their little bits of influence really helped out.
One of the nicest guys I've met in jiu-jitsu was Eddie Bravo. I went to LA as early blue belt to train, and I went to 10th Planet HQ. Welcomed me with open arms, bro. He was the only instructor there in LA of all the schools I went to, which was like, don't worry about paying, just come in whenever you want. Like, you seem like a chill dude, just come through. I had places quote me like $300 for the week. I had like all this wild shit, right? And I just remember I didn't know too much about jiu-jitsu at the time, but you know people, and the way he ran his class and how nice he was, it really stuck out to me. I was like, fuck, man, like,
Yeah.
this is one of the founding dudes of jiu-jitsu, and he's got time for this kid from Australia who's like just a blue belt, and he's going to chat to you and he's going to treat you just like you were one of his students the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things I pulled away from that was like, fuck, man, like the best experience I had training in LA was actually at 10th Planet HQ.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Like, but I'm not surprised either. Like, Eddie is really chill, just really cool, and he's got time for people.
That was the thing, bro. He had time. He just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, he probably had 1,000 other things he could have been doing. When I got there, I rocked up to the class. There were 2 dudes out the front with suitcases. So that wherever the fuck they'd come from, right? Because this is about when EBI is kicking off.
Yeah.
I'm assuming these guys had moved from somewhere and were just like, here I am. I want to make a life of it. And I was like, fuck, man, this is wild. Like,
yeah.
But I just remember how he. Don't remember too much about like the rounds and stuff that happened, but I remember how he treated me, bro. And I think that's what people.
That's a huge thing. Yeah. I think that's definitely. Like, I think 2 people in jiu-jitsu that I really, really like. Having met one and not the other, but like it's Marcelo Garcia, and Eddie, and you can see the passion for jiu-jitsu there.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say Jean-Jacques as well. Like,
for sure.
I trained with Jean-Jacques a couple of times. He actually came to Tasmania. We met him. We were wearing our 10th Planet gear, and he was just like, straight away, like, 10th Planet, and like, come up and give us a hug and everything. I was like, damn, like,
it's awesome.
He was asking us, you met Eddie, and then telling us stories about Eddie. And then about 3 years later, Jean-Jacques goes to Melbourne, and he comes up to me and he's like, puts his hand on my chest, and he's like, good to see you again, my brother. And I was like,
yeah, he remembers you.
At that point, I was like, are you for real? Like, you're Jean-Jacques Machado, like,
yeah.
And like that kind of thing speaks volumes.
Bro, I say this to everybody, like, technique, maybe not in a 10th Planet gym, is pretty similar to everywhere, like, because you guys have some unique movements. But an armbar is an armbar, like, kind of wherever you go, there's obviously details that are different and setups that are different. But what's different from every gym is the people and the coaching, like, I honestly, if I had a choice of going to a place that had A+ jiu-jitsu technique, but the people were like a D, or I could go to B+ jiu-jitsu and A+ people, I would go to B+ jiu-jitsu with A+ people, bro.
Yeah.
Every time.
I kind of feel the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because again, like, level is certainly important, but if you don't trust and like the people that you're forging these skills with, they're not going to be skills to keep. They'll be in spite of your training partners, not because they're good. That's not a productive. It's not a healthy way to learn. I think there's phases where that's important, but full time, not like that.
Yeah.
So when you started, it wasn't officially 10th Planet School at the time. It was Hobart Grappling Club, was it? Is that correct?
Yeah, Hobart No Good Grappling.
Yeah. Did you find how long did it really take for you to start getting some good momentum up until this point where you were able to move out of working a regular job into like a dream job of coaching a jiu-jitsu gym? So especially in Hobart, just because of how small it is, and also
it is small.
Do you have saturation there with gyms? That's the other thing.
There are a ton of gyms in Hobart, which is great. It's amazing. But it took me 10 years, and there was a catalyst, and I can talk about that in a sec. But it was just for me to enjoy.
Yeah.
Just I finish work, I go in, and I'm training, and then over time, there were people kind of interested in what we're doing. They're coming in, and I found myself teaching. And there's a balance there too. Like, I want to get my training in too.
Yeah.
But what I found was the more I was teaching others, the better I was getting. Teaching them teaching them to shut me down, teaching them to beat me so I could then learn more and more. And I'm still like that now. But it was, we did well in competition, like at a white belt level, because like we're all white belts. And slowly moving up the ranks, right? Moving up the ranks. We kept competing in Melbourne, in Sydney, Adelaide as well.
Yeah.
We're just going competing in those places and just getting experience and having fun. Like we'd grab a team and go over, like 4 or 5 of us would travel, stay together in like an Airbnb or something, and then compete together.
Yeah.
And that was super fun. Loved it. But then it got to this point where it took a lot of my time, which and I started to have to make this decision. Like, I don't want to have the jiu-jitsu declining in value because I have to work as well.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on the fence there for a while. It was about a year where I'm like, I can't keep working and doing jiu-jitsu. Like, they're both an 8-hour thing. So like I was no social life at all. Like my friends were understanding, but I didn't get to see them very much. Same with my family. A lot of things started to decline there, and I was like, I'm going to make this decision. So anyway, it was about mid 2019, and we had a whole bunch of the guys from LA coming down. So Phil Schwartz, there was Jeremiah Vance.
Wow.
Lockie was going to be a 10th player in Melbourne too, so Lockie Giles, Kaya Terra. There was a whole bunch of them there, and I put some leave in for work, and they declined my leave. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant, but I went back to them and I said, "Oh, look, I'll come back with a decision." And they declined my leave. And I actually walked out of work that day and just burst into tears, like I'm on the phone to my wife, just like, I can't keep doing this. And she's very supportive. And Nat's very, very supportive. And she just goes, you need to quit. And like, it kind of all hit me there. I'm like, yeah, I've got to do it. So I took a couple of weeks. I had to go see a financial advisor because obviously jiu-jitsu does not pay the bills.
Jiu-jitsu does not pay the bills, bro.
So I had to go and see somebody and just make sure that I could keep my head above water. We could. Like 2 weeks later, I went in and I handed in, like, I gave him 3 months' notice because I'd been working there for 17 years. So this is like, this wasn't like a heavy decision.
Big decision.
This is a heavy decision, yeah. The cool thing about it was the boss that actually owned the business, he didn't really have a say in what time I was getting off. That was like CEOs and stuff like that. But the guy that owned the business, when he found out, he was kind of disappointed in it.
Yeah, he's been there a long time.
Yeah, he was very, very supportive, and he actually said, like, you're just going to go out there and just chase it. So, and he actually said to me, like, if things didn't work out, welcome back and everything like that. So, I didn't want to use that as like a platform to go like, well, if it doesn't work, whatever.
Yeah, it's all good. But
it was nice. It was nice. I really appreciated it. So I put my last day was the day before Christmas, 2019. And then I went full-time into jiu-jitsu after that. And as we know, like 2 or 3 months later, COVID hit. So we get shut down. And that was like, that was like a nervous time. I was like, oh, okay.
I know a couple of people where they made some big choices just before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And thankfully they're all good. Like everything ended up through hard work and battening down the hatches and some toughness. Yeah. But man, like one of those things could be around the corner tomorrow. And
you don't know.
You've just got to do shit. If you just live in this fear of like, oh my God, like something might go wrong, it's going to fucking go wrong. It's going to go wrong while you're scared. Like,
Yeah.
you may as well just be getting after it when it goes wrong. And bro, it's like
Well, it
I
puts
said,
you in
that's fucking
this.
wild. Like
It's
3 months later,
dude,
you're in a global pandemic and the world shut down for 2. What was Tasmania like through COVID? So I know Melbourne, they got absolutely railed. Like they were the most locked down city on the planet.
yeah. Well, they shut us down straight away.
Yeah.
So we weren't allowed to travel or anything, and because we're that little island, they just don't want people going in and out of it.
Yeah.
So there's no border to cross. You have to get on a plane or get on the boat, or all of that's shut down. So because no one could get in or out, we were back to training. I could be wrong. It was June.
Okay.
So I shut down for like 3 months.
It's pretty good. I think we waited till
Compared
September.
to everybody else. Yeah.
I think we waited till
Compared to
September.
everybody else, we were good.
Yeah.
So we get back to training. I was super grateful that, like, you know, we weren't elsewhere. Like,
Yeah.
Melbourne would have been hard. Well,
Melbourne or Sydney, you're fucked, bro.
yeah. So we were back to training. We didn't have to, you know, paper up windows or anything like that. And I'm sure there were still people training, like when it was going.
Right.
But we were in a complex, and they just shut the whole thing down. So yeah, we get back. I was grateful because the way I thought about it was, hey, if I can get through this, like we're here. We're here to stay. It's good. Yeah, and then, you know, it did take a little time to build a school after that. Like, especially new people wanting to try jiu-jitsu, like they've just spent all these, you know, these months or even the year after it, like all that fear, and then just like, oh, you know, I'm too close to people, whatever.
Right.
And it took a little time, but I'd say the last 2 years, it's back on its feet, and we're doing really well.
And
it's awesome.
I don't know if it's the same. Well, first and foremost, that's awesome news, and it's amazing that you've managed to survive that little patch. I don't know if it's the same for you down there in Tassie, but you can still feel people are still shook and different from before COVID. Like people's capacity for problems, and they seem to redline a lot faster, and a lot of people are just seem very panicked and stuff like that. I worked up until recently a job where I used to work on the door of a cocktail bar, and just the behavior of people post COVID and before COVID, it's like all their inhibitions are gone, bro. Their time to snap and how fragile people just seem to be in general seems still very, very high. And a sport like jiu-jitsu, which is pretty unforgiving, you know, like both on your mental and your physical, I could see how it'd be challenging for schools to get back into it and get that momentum going again.
Yeah. Like, I think we definitely saw that. I don't think we see it so much here now. But I mean, like I was saying, that year before, the year after. The year after was it was rough. You know, people just didn't know what to do. But like I said, the last 2 years we've been pretty good down here. Like, and I think even in the general population, like, people are pretty chill. Yeah. I mean, Tassie's a chill place. I mean, you've been here. It's really beautiful, but, like, you know, we get people. To go back on our conversation, when I was traveling to Melbourne all the time, I always have people saying, "Why don't you just move here?" And I know a few of those people came and visited us down here in Tassie, and they kind of look at me and go, "Yeah, I get it. Yeah."
I was there last year. I was there last year with my partner, and she was like, "Oh, like, we should have a look at houses here." I'm like, this place is beautiful. Like, it's amazing. And then she looked and she saw the prices, and she's like, "Oh, maybe Adelaide's nice."
We had a few people move here, and
Yeah.
Um, he moved here, tried to get a place. It's so hard.
Yeah,
It's
bro.
so expensive. The house prices went up like crazy. Like people wanted to be here because it was like it's kind of secluded.
It's a little oasis, bro. It's beautiful.
It's crazy. And like Mona's done an amazing thing. That museum. Have you been there?
That's the reason we went, bro. She wanted to see that
It's
wall with
unreal.
all the fucking vaginas on it. And I was just like, all right, let's go on to Mona. I'd been there because I went there when Dan and Toya and James and I came through.
Yep.
But we went a second time. Bro, Tasmania is awesome. I love it. It's a beautiful little spot, and
It's unreal.
the ability to go from the south to the top. Like I think we drove from Hobart and we were up at Cradle Mountain within like 5-6 hours, bro.
Yeah. It's not much. Like I think you can go all the way. Say we're going to Burnie. That's probably as high up as we're going to get. It's 4 hours, 4.5 hours, or something like that.
It's awesome.
And I mean, in Tassie, like I don't know, we're pretty slack. So it's like if it's not 20 minutes away, we don't go.
Yeah.
Beach, we got mountain and snow. Like you know,
Everything. Wildlife parks, all that stuff.
Yeah.
On the
really cool.
topic of traveling around Tassie, you mentioned you got something cool popping up, a little project coming in.
So,
you want to expand on that a little more?
When was it? It must have been about a year ago. So we have this community group. We call it the Grapple Isle, as a play on the Apple Isle, which is what we call Tassie. So it's a Grapple Isle, and it's a community project where it started off as like a Facebook group where everyone could just jump in and just share, like what would it be? Share like seminars coming up and things like that. So everyone kind of was what was going on, could go and travel and do some things. And it wasn't so inter club related, but a community thing. And it was actually built, I'm thinking about 7 years ago by a brown belt from Launceston. Her name was Claire Hayes, and since then
I remember her.
You do actually. She was at
the opening. Yeah.
She was at the opening. So she spearheaded this community group, but since then she actually had some injuries and she's not doing jiu-jitsu anymore, which is it happens to the best of us, right? So I reached out to her, and while it kind of died off a little bit, and because she was actively running it, putting in gradings, like if anyone got ranked, it was like just put into this big community group. And I reached out to her and I said, look, what you did with that was amazing. If you'd let me, I'd really like to take it over and do something with it, just so we can keep it running, because I think it's a good thing. We don't want it to die off.
Yeah.
Graciously, she passed everything over to me. The logos, the name of it, all the web pages, everything she's pushed over to me. And I've just been tinkering with that in the background. So I don't know if it should work. There's a link. You can go on a link that takes you to a Google map. So if you're traveling around Tassie, you can actually go to this map and you'll see all the gyms that have reached out to me and said, yeah, include my gym in there. Like we'll accept, drop-ins and all that.
Yep.
So if you are coming to Tassie, you can just go there and you'll find gyms all over the state. And you don't have to go.
Man, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Resource. Yeah. Because like we get so many tourists and people coming in to train. So, but what we're looking at doing now, I was talking to a couple of gyms this morning, is a touring over 40s open mat. It's a great idea. It's a super good idea.
Awesome idea.
Because like, a lot of open mats, like, you'll get people of all ages and everything like that. But I think the over 40s one is a good one, because then you don't have to worry about the 20-year-olds just, running track. It's hard, man.
For sure. We've got a cool group of, over 35s, over 40s crew that train at our gym, and their experience. I'm 32, so I don't live their experience, right? And what they were telling me is essentially, it's fucking brutal when you've got 22, 23-year-old blue belts who like super fit, active, and they're just coming in there and they're going to those open mats and those training sessions to win and smash, bro.
Yeah.
To be able to find other guys who are like-minded, who are going to train at an intensity where it's legit and real, but also you all know you're all there for the same reason. None of you want to go banged up. And the training at that age is different. It's going to be a different exercise. It doesn't mean that you have to stop training, but you definitely can't train like a 22, 23-year-old if you want longevity. So I think what you're doing is awesome. And even things like for getting guys together in a positive environment, you know, like that age group for men is a fucking killer, you know, like.
Yes. Well, we were discussing that yesterday, actually.
This is all awesome, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's, you know, because it was only last month. I've just hit 40 myself.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. I look fantastic for 40.
You look 24.
Thank you. I'm not fishing for compliments at all.
I'll give them to you for free.
But yeah, I think it's really good because, like, you know, the guys that I come up with, at least, we all come up together. Now we're all the same age.
Yeah.
And then there were the people that were there before us. You know, they're 10 years older than us, or, you know, even further along that scale. And like you say, you start to see, you know, I mean, we could specifically say men's mental health, but this isn't like anything like, you know.
No, that age group, bro.
It's a good place for people to get together and just have that social interaction while doing jiu-jitsu with
that
people.
Decompression and just having like-minded people around, bro. To think that, there are other guys like me. It's not, this problem isn't just solely me. Like, this is the experience of other people, and there are people that will get behind you and pump you up and make you feel good and all this type of stuff. And just getting out of the house and not being isolated, particularly in a place like Hobart or Tasmania, where people might have family on the mainland, so they're isolated in a sense. Yeah, man. Like I said, that age group for men's, like, it's a grim topic, bro. But suicide and self-harm and stuff like that, that's right in the zone where it's going off, and there's a reason for that.
It's so I mean, like, as a community group, like, if we can just do the smallest little thing, right? Just the little thing, just to give people a place to go, and, you know, it's an open mat, it's free. People can just turn up, and so what we're looking at doing is we've got the very far north of the state, so we're, you know, places like Devonport, Ulverston, Burnie's quite far. So we're looking at those places where I think that's going to be our first one.
Yep.
And the next one will be in Hobart, and then there'll be a third one in Launceston. Yep. And we're just going to do that monthly. And what we're looking at is trying to do it consistently on the second weekend of every month.
Yep.
So for the whole year, we'll have the schedule up. You'll know it's going to be on this date, and all you wait on is what school it's at.
Yep.
And we're going to give everyone an opportunity to host it.
Yeah, something to look forward to. They get to get in the car and drive. You know what I mean? And it's like, it could even be like a bit of a beacon light. Like, you're having a fucked couple of weeks. It's like, this is rough. All this is too much.
Yeah.
This weekend I've got the open mat with the guys.
Yeah.
We're going to Launceston this week. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, like, further from that, you know, you do like a 2-hour open mat, and if the guys want to go get coffee, or, you know,
make friends, bro. It's hard to make friends as an adult. Like, it is challenging.
So that's the new incentive for the grappler. Like, it had been just a platform to maybe do. Recently, we've done some refereeing courses that will help, you know, the new local comp. So it's all about, it's non for profit. Like, we're just like, I'm I'm the admin of the group. I'm not making money from it.
Yeah.
Pitching in. It's just good to have a solid community that brings all clubs together, which ultimately just makes jiu-jitsu more fun. So, you know, you can go to open mats and you kind of know somebody, and it's just, that's what you want. You just want more fun.
And with the way it is, bro, you know you can go there and be safe.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be you're gonna have good training. It's gonna be hard, solid rounds, but you're not gonna get injured by some young psychopath with who's trying to test out their fucking outside heel hook this week.
Yeah. You can leave the buggy chokes at home for the.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with buggy chokes, but it's just good to be able to go in and, you know.
We had a guy
Play the
sign up.
Masters game, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had a guy sign up. He's 67 years old, bro. Like,
that's sick.
And I'm like,
that's
you
awesome.
don't understand how gangster you are, bro. Like,
yeah,
he's trying to tell me like, oh, like I'm not going to be much like, I'm like, bro, fuck all that. I was like, the idea that you're almost 70, bro, and you're like, I'm gonna start jiu-jitsu. I was like, you've got the biggest balls in the state. I was like, I wouldn't be doing
unreal.
that. It's not a chance. And I said to him, look, obviously you're not going to be rolling with 25-year-olds full tilt. Those times are gone, but we can still get you skill acquisition, hard training, and camaraderie easily, bro, without doubt. And this idea, you see this guy is 67 and he's looking around, he's like, old dogs can learn new tricks type of thing. And you kind of see their mind ticking. It's like, well, what else can I fucking try? You know, what else is possible? And I think that's one of the things jiu-jitsu does. And like I said, for older guys who have either stuck in a career they don't like or in a crossroads of their life, super important, bro. Super important. You hear it all the time. Jiu-jitsu saved my life, bro. Like, and it's a cliche, but I believe it when a lot of people say it, because once you're in, you can see how easily it could happen. Like, you start making different choices, and all of a sudden, your life's different.
I mean, like, I actually really like that whole jiu-jitsu saved my life thing, and it's not just the jiu-jitsu thing; it's just that saved my life because we had it in skateboarding. Like, you know, so it's like people that are lost, people that just don't know where they fit or belong, and they find skateboarding and they're like, hang on, this is me. And all of a sudden you feel like that sense of belonging, and it's that thing that saved their life. We just same with punk rock. Like, most of the time it's like, you know, it's punks and misfits and people that just kind of don't fit in, but they find that crowd that they fit in with. And I think I've come from skateboarding, punk rock, and now jiu-jitsu. It's like every step of the way, it's like each of those things had something to do with just making me better or feel better. And that's me. At the end of the day, that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, we're a species that needs to live in communities, bro. And when you don't have your tribe, like, you feel it. You know what I mean? And if you're on the outside looking in on other people's tribes or groups having a good time, it kind of multiplies how bad that feels, you know. And so like, it makes so much sense. I never could skate. I hung around skaters as one of my best mates was a skater, but there were kids that would otherwise get teased or be called dregs or whatever the fuck, right? And they're good people, but together they had value. They valued each other within the group, so it made copying shit from the outside world a lot more easy, because there were people you didn't give a fuck about. You cared about your circle and what they thought of you, and if they thought something bad of you, that wasn't great. But someone else could say whatever they liked, because you get your validation from a completely different source. And punk rock, jiu-jitsu, surfing, skating, footy, all this type of stuff, it's all the same, bro. You just need to find your tribe, get in there, and make sure they're helping. It's a positive one, because it can go the other way. There's all types of sports and workplaces and jiu-jitsu gyms where it's a negative space and it creates monsters, bro. Like, it can easily go away.
That world of, like, skateboarding, I definitely felt that. I mean, that's another reason why I got out of it, because the circle I hung around with, like, some of those guys, I don't know where they are right now. They went down the road of, like, drugs and alcohol, because, like, skateboarding is really, really hard on your body. Like people go like, oh, jiu-jitsu is like the hardest thing I've ever
I
done.
was going to ask you if your skateboarding journey helped with your jiu-jitsu, just because very technical, you get fucked up learning it, just like jiu-jitsu. Did it make learning jiu-jitsu a little bit more palatable for you, do you think?
Yeah. So there's a determination that you'll get from skateboarding. Like I don't, and if you've never done it or you've never tried it, like say doing a handrail or a set of stairs, like we see videos of people doing these things and you see the clip of them making it, but you never see them fail. And you see them, they don't make that thing. Like there's days where we've had to go back to a handrail and it might be like 3 days that you're trying to do this thing for, and you might be there for hours. And when you hit the ground, you're hitting the ground hard. There's no tapping.
Hard, bro. It's concrete.
You're just smack.
I watched my mates get fucked up, which made me not want to do it most of the time.
Yeah.
Like I've ollied off of a gutter. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I was like, I'm the man. I can, like, and I watched them. But like you said, you don't see people get absolutely pulverized. I watched this clip of Nigel Huston, and it showed all of his takes, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was this little sequence that he was doing, and he kept fucking it up at random sequences and getting fucked up. It was like over 100 takes, bro. Like, and I'm like, this dude is eating shit on the concrete pretty much 100 times before this can happen. The balls you have to get up and just do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's
and that's a normal thing, like 100 tries. Like sometimes you get guys to do it a couple of times and they get it, but there's always some things where they're really trying to get a trick and it nails you and it ruins your body like it did mine. But if you're that kind of person that's like got that never give up attitude, though, that's that skateboarding thing, like that definitely ingrained that into me. So when I did start doing jiu-jitsu and there were people going like, oh, you're just a white belt. I'm like, so like it always rolled off my back. It was I don't care if I'm not doing it. I like making it, if I'm mucking something up, like it just gives me more opportunity to get better and then do.
Yeah, you're one repetition closer.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I feel like that definitely helped with jiu-jitsu because you see a lot of people come in and they struggle so hard with like that. I'm not getting this, or like I'm the
bro. They hate
all these people in the room. Yeah, like
they take it so. I was talking to a guy about hip escaping, bro. His new class, and he was getting really upset that he couldn't hip escape. I'm like, bro, you've never done this movement in your life. To think that you're going to be able to nail it your first time, it's not fair on yourself. You need to let this go and understand, bro. If I picked up, I've never juggled, bro. If I picked up 4 tennis balls and tried to juggle right now, they're going to be going everywhere. It doesn't mean I'm an idiot and I can't learn. It means I've juggled fuck all, and it's just going to take some time. But people, they, like you mentioned there, bro, they quickly turn on themselves. Like, oh, 2 reps can't do it. I'm fucking stupid. This isn't for me. And it's like, whoa. So that's skating. That would fix that. And maybe to the point, I knew a couple of girls who did gymnastics and they trained. You obviously get fucked up a lot in the pursuit of gymnastics technique as well. And it's like almost skateboarding and gymnastics were very, very similar to the crossover into jiu-jitsu because it's super technical to learn and you also fucked yourself up on the way, which is pretty rare in a lot of sports. You know what I mean? Like you're playing tennis and you make a poor serve, the ball hits the net and you're all good. You know what I mean? Like it's fine, but you fuck up a set of stairs or you fuck up a takedown or you fuck up a backflip, you're getting wrecked, bro.
You're gonna feel it.
You're gonna feel it.
Yeah, you're gonna feel
that toughness it would give you would be pretty valuable, both mental and physical, I would imagine.
Yeah, and like you've got to learn to deal with it the right way too. Like that's what I was saying. Like a lot of the guys I was skating with, they just went down a bad road. Like that pain you feel like every day, and you want to get that trick. They just started going down the way of drugs and alcohol. And that was me just going, I'm out of here. Like,
is that big in the skate community, like the drugs and alcohol aspect? Because you mentioned you were in the straight edge. Was that more from the punk rock?
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that comes from my dad, but my dad would give me records when I was a kid. And the first record he gave me was like the Ramones. And it was like, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. I don't even know how old I was. But Ramones are like one of those bands I really, really love. And then that leads you down the road of trying to find other bands that kind of like that. So I mean, I got into more stuff like Minor Threat. I really like Minor Threat, and then that gets me into Fugazi, and then you find out who Henry Rollins is because you listen to Black Flag.
Yeah.
And it's all that same kind of mindset. And their whole thing was DIY, like the whole do-it-yourself thing. No drugs, no alcohol, that kind of thing. And that's kind of what I did. Like,
Fits perfect for jiu-jitsu. DIY, clean living, bro. Like,
I really dug that lifestyle. So when my friends went down that route, I was like, man, I'm busting. I'm out of here. Like,
yeah, because my mates who skated, they drank or they smoke a joint every now and then, but that was the extent of it. Like, it was. I don't think any of my skating mates ended up going down a really dark path, but I can see how it happens, bro. Like, you become obsessed with something, it's your life, and it doesn't pan out how you'd want it to pan out. It's going to impact you.
But I mean, I think nowadays, like you mentioned, like Nigel Houston and stuff like that earlier. Like then you start to see the athletes skateboarding.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're working out. And
yeah.
I think that's where you see most skateboarders now. They're like, they're athletes. They're working out. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. Like, I mean, I don't know, 15 years ago, people weren't lifting weights and working out for jiu-jitsu. They were doing jiu-jitsu. But now you've got to be an athlete,
bro. If you're not doing S&C, like you're almost not taking it seriously.
Yeah, and that's that's another thing that I've had to get into recently because like I was in that mindset of like, hey, I do jiu-jitsu. That's my whole thing.
Bro, I'm still in that mindset. There's part of me which is like, I want the privilege one day of having my own gym, and in my mind, I'm like, if you're not super jacked and you're still super legit at jiu-jitsu, they're going to obviously think it's your technique. But if you're like some fucking roided up freak, they could easily be like, oh, yeah, your jiu-jitsu is probably good, but you're getting a lot of done with like horsepower.
Yeah.
So for me, if I look super unathletic, one, I don't have to do S&C, and then two, they're going to think my jiu-jitsu is really good. So that's my thinking with it. I don't know if you want to sign up to that as well, or you just want to start lifting weights. But in all seriousness, I do some deadlifts, but S&C, like it's not one of my not a big focus for me, but it's important. In all seriousness, it's super important, even just for preservation of your body.
I think it's great. I mean, I hated it to begin with. But this is, I got on the Bulletproof for BJJ program. You've seen that. JT, James Tomlinson. I've known him for a few years. I actually tore my shoulder. I tore my rotator cuff.
Oof.
And he's a sweetheart. He's amazing. He goes, hey, you got time for a call? I'm going to talk to you. So he talked to me on the phone for like 30 minutes. And he just did like a consult for me for nothing. This guy did it just because he's just a really genuine dude.
Just did it. Yeah.
He put me onto Bulletproof for BJJ as well because that's his program there with Joey, and I've just been following that. Like I'm not even lifting heavy. I'm just doing enough just to keep me feeling good. So I only lift twice a week. I play disc golf now as well because I hit 40.
I saw, bro. That shit looks fun.
It's the mobility and all of that, like my shoulders, and like putting your hips into things.
And normal golf just pisses me off.
Keep moving.
Like, at least with a frisbee, I feel like I might have more control, bro. Like,
it's good. Like I'm outside for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Move around. I'm with friends. You get I just want to keep moving now. Like the older I get, I don't want to sit.
Nah, you can't. That's why
It's really
sharks
good.
don't
I
sleep.
like it.
They don't stop moving, bro. They keep moving. But yeah, the S&C, bro. That's awesome that you found like some stuff that's good fun with that. My
Well, it
coach,
took long
Matt,
enough.
he's obsessed with strength and conditioning. He's huge in the spine health space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And pretty much everything that I've ever done with him, he's made me. He's like, you need to be doing something.
Yeah.
But it was the deadlifts, and I ended up blew my knee out at a tournament one day, rotating my leg off for trying to rotate out of a knee bar. Essentially, didn't realize my foot was anchored, and my knee blew up. And I went to the physio, and he was like, "Do you do any S&C?" I was like, "Yeah, I do some deadlifts." He's like, "You should thank your coach because if you hadn't have pretty much all the tension went to my hamstring and my quads." And he said, "Your knee would have been completely obliterated." And I was like,
Yeah.
I walked
Right.
away with an MCL tear as opposed to like a complete tear of everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
yep, all right, even if I don't like this shit, I'm going to make sure that I'm at the very least on that maintenance lifting just the deadlifts, bro. At the very least,
Yeah.
just that. And then it's lots of calisthenics and body weight exercises and stuff like that. But it's cool that you've found this far into your life and this far into your jiu-jitsu something else to be excited and passionate about as well that can give you some
Yeah.
gains and keep you on the mat more.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? It's just the older I got, I started thinking more and more about longevity. How do you stay on the mats for as long as you can? Like,
Yeah.
I want to be doing this for as long as I can. Like, I
I
don't want to
can't
be one of those
imagine
guys. I'm
the
too
day where
sore.
I'm like, yeah, the day where you've had your final session, bro. Like, fuck that.
Oof.
It's
Oof.
scary, bro. I don't want that.
I've never
That's
actually thought about that.
I think of bro. People meditate their own mortality, bro. I meditate like the day I do my final jiu-jitsu lesson and I don't know about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck. It
Yeah.
makes me like grateful every time I walk out. I'm like, I love this place, bro. It's like when
Yeah.
people are scared to fly, they land, they kiss the floor. Like I do that to the door on the way out each time because yeah,
Well,
man,
grateful for
it's
every session.
100%,
Yeah.
man. I know you're a busy dude, bro. We've been doing this for an hour. Is there anything?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, fucking flu, bro. Is there anything
That's
that
cool.
you want to talk about in particular? We spoke about the grapple aisle and stuff like that. Is there anyone you
Yeah.
want to thank, bro? Like, obviously, there's been a heap of influences, and you've touched base on some of them. But
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I'll give you this
just,
last little bit to do your thank yous or any final messages and stuff like
yeah.
that.
I mean, that'd be great. Like, look, for everyone that's ever walked into my gym, even for the shortest amount of time, and just like, give me the opportunity to teach them and all that, like, I got to thank them. Um, and all the guys that are still training. Because without them, like I'm still in the bakery. They give me
Yes.
this place to be able to do what I do, and they trust in me too, which is amazing. To earn people's
Credit
trust.
credit to you and Nat.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, we love doing what we do. It's
Yeah.
it's what I get up every day. I'm excited to go in there.
Well, man,
You know,
it's
uh, yeah, it's great. Like Frank Barker, all the time he put into me. He was a massive help and like changing my mindset about everything.
yeah,
He was instrumental. And, um, there's so many people that have just uh, added to my
yeah.
journey. It's great.
Well, like I said, man, I still look back very fondly on. I spent maybe 2 or 3 sessions, I think, at your gym. We
Yeah,
were there for the
yeah,
weekend, but
yeah,
again, very similar to the Eddie Bravo thing. I remember how I was treated by the people, bro, and you guys treated me probably up there with the same as like Eddie and a couple of places that I've been to, where I look back very fondly. I'm like, good people. I would go there. Would have no hesitation with recommending people go there and check it
I
out. And
appreciate that,
that
man.
doesn't just happen, bro. You know what I mean? That's hard work. So
Yeah,
I know that because I coach at a gym that's not mine, but I see the effort my coach puts in and the continuous slog and the grind. And you've got to build it for people to come, bro. And that's another big part
yeah,
of what you guys have done, man, because you've built something from nothing and created
yeah,
a link from little old Tasmania to fucking LA and America, which
yeah,
is the jiu-jitsu mecca now, bro. So there's a direct link for anyone who comes to your gym to all these amazing opportunities, and that doesn't happen if you don't quit working at the bakery and fly over to see Fred 9 times a year, bro.
Yeah. No,
And also have a
appreciate
hospitable
that.
area, like, because again, there's a ton of people with gyms. You know what I mean? It's having a gym isn't that impressive. Having a successful gym that people value, that's impressive. So
over
doing what you guys are doing, it's awesome, bro. It's awesome.
I appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you so much.
Bro. It's been a pleasure chatting to you again, Jem. Let's do it again soon.
Chris.
Maybe we can even get you and Nat on at some time, because I'd love to hear Nat's journey, because she's just as much part of the process as you are. But you guys are busy people,
absolutely. No, I'm sure she'd love to do it. So she works
please,
from home some days, so we'll
grab. Beautiful, bro. We'll grab all your links to your school, Grapple Isle, anything that you want people linked to. Sponsors, anything like that, you just send them through whenever you're ready, and I'll put them in the comments of the video, bro, so people can get access to that, especially the Grapple Isle, bro. We'll make sure that people hear about that, because that's a really cool idea.
Of course.
Traveling.
I mean, it's a private group, but you know, anyone's welcome to just jump in there, and I'll accept you.
Beautiful. Well, have a good day today, Jem. If you've got classes today, enjoy your teaching and your training. And tell her that for us as well.
I will, man. I will. Thank you so much. This was awesome.
No. Like I said, man, good people. That's what makes jiu-jitsu awesome, bro. And it's cool to chat with. The fact that it went for an hour without any fucking hiccups or getting boring kind of doubles down that you're a good guest and a good chat, bro. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Catch you, man. I'll see you soon, Chris. Bye.
Bro. See ya.